working luncheon this year because our in-person meeting, which was scheduled for mid-March at Kutztown University, was canceled. But we're very happy to convert that in-person program to a Zoom presentation today. My name is Lori D'Onofrio Galli. I'm the Executive Director of the Northeast Berks Chamber, located in Kutztown, and I'll also be your moderator today. We're very excited because for a fourth consecutive year, our chamber has partnered with Kutztown University College of Business and the Entrepreneurial Leadership Center to organize and produce this program. Our special thanks to Dr. Ann Carroll, the Dean of the College of Business, who could not be with us today, but we do have with us Dr. Paige Brookins, the Assistant Dean, and she's going to share some information about the College of Business before we get started. Paige, welcome.
Thank you, Lori, and welcome to everyone. And I appreciate that you have collaborated again with the College of Business, the Entrepreneur Leadership Center. So each year we have two signature programs. The fall semester is our business idea competition that we work with students and help them to take an idea and develop that idea and then be able to present on that idea and get feedback from local business owners and entrepreneurs. And then in the spring semester, we have our Entrepreneur Leadership Week, which unfortunately we were not able to have this year due to the pandemic, but it's really set up where it's a collaboration between the Kutztown University College of Business, our Entrepreneur Leadership Center, the KU Small Business Development Center, and the Northeast Berks Chamber of Commerce. The event includes workshops, panels, and presentations that provide students and the local community with insight, strategies, and tools from experts to launch or to boost their business. One signature workshop that we have or panel presentation is our women's panel. And we have the pleasure of having Lori to be the moderator for this particular event. It really highlights successful women from our community who discuss their road to entrepreneurial excellence. They focus on strategies and tools that lead to the creation of a thriving and brilliant or vibrant business. And this is something that is open to the public as well as our community, our local community, and our students. So you might ask yourself, how can you get involved with the Entrepreneur Leadership Center at Kutztown University? We are revamping some of the services and the opportunities that we bring to our students, where we want to bring mentors, those who are in the field, they have their business, they're growing their business, and they're able to mentor firsthand with our KU students and helping them to advance their idea and possibly bring it to full fruition. So that is something that potentially you can involve yourself in, as well as attending our Entrepreneur Leadership Week. And if you would also want to be a judge for our business idea competition, we're open for that as well. So you could be a mentor, a judge, or a judge, as well as join our Entrepreneur Leadership Week workshops and presentations. So that is all I have for today. And again, thank you, Lori, for including us in this great event.
Well, you're welcome, Paige. And I know that our Northeast Berks Chamber members value our strong partnership with the Kutztown University College of Business. For the next 45 minutes, we will discover the habits of healthy entrepreneurship. And in light of our current situation, we will also address those habits in terms of the impact of COVID-19 and other tools for crisis management. So let me start by introducing our panel of women entrepreneurs who today will provide some advice, strategy, and tools for entrepreneurship. First, we have on this call Jody Bukowski. Welcome, Jody. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me, Lori. As Lori said, I'm an entrepreneur. I actually have my own practice, financial services practice at New York Life, and I've been doing that for about 3 years. But, you know, I have a background in corporate marketing and an MBA in marketing. And this is not, I actually owned my own business prior to joining New York Life. I owned my own event services business for 6 years called Simple Soiree, which I sold 2 years ago. So I'm happy to be here, and you know, hoping to be able to share, you know, my story and path and kind of some successful habits that I've developed along the way of, you know, this exciting lifestyle called entrepreneurship.
Thank you, Jody. Next on our panel today, we have Sherry Chrisman.
Good morning, everybody. I own Elite Business Solutions. We're a bookkeeping and payroll company. We just moved into K-Town Hall in February of this year, and we're celebrating our 8th year in business actually this month.
Thank you so much, Sherry. Happy anniversary. Next on the panel, we have Mileva Epperson-Langle. Mileva?
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, Lori, for this opportunity. My name is Mileva Epperson-Langle. I'm a freelance makeup artist for film and television. I also do a lot of consulting for women in business. And I'm also the owner of a global product brokerage and internet marketing business. And I will be celebrating my 5th anniversary next month.
Great, wonderful. Ingrid Holder, you're next. Ingrid?
I'm sorry, I was muted. Hi, everyone. My name is Ingrid Holder. I'm a financial advisor at Merrill, sole proprietor. I've been in the industry nearly 20 years and decided to venture off as a sole proprietor last year. So I'm fairly new, working on my master's degree in finance. And what we do is offer advice and guidance for potential investment solutions that consider the client's life goals, risk tolerance, time horizon, and liquidity needs. Again, Ingrid, financial advisor at Merrill. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. It wasn't really rehearsed or anything, but I'd love to share my decision and how I manage making my decisions and how I manage my day-to-day. Thanks for having me, Lori.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ingrid. Elise Mitten, you're next.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Elise Mitten with Interlace Communications. My company is going to be sharing on May 31st. It's 25 years in existence. So my background is in marketing and advertising, and most of my habits come from creating systems. And because I was raised on a farm, we had a lot of systems in place. So that's how I operate.
Thank you, Elise. That does sound like good experience for entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Last but not least, our last panelist is Ann Timpey. Ann?
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here among these other very experienced women. I'm Ann Timpey with K-Town Hall. We're a new co-working space that just opened in the old Town Hall building in Kutztown. If you're not familiar with co-working, we provide professional office space, so small businesses, independent professionals, people without their own separate office space can come together, have a professional environment to work and build a professional community. So we help to facilitate that. My background, we just opened in October. I don't have a background in co-working, but I do have a background in working remotely from home, working with our family business. I did project management for several years. And prior to that, I was involved in communications through the PA House of Representatives. So I'm really excited to be a part of this panel today, talk about some of the things that's worked for us and growing our family business and now K-Town Hall. And I'm looking forward to hearing from these other ladies as well. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ann. All right, we'll get started. Today we'll have 3 overarching topics: time management, tracking and analyzing your business, and connecting with yourself and others. We'll be presenting some ideas and strategies related to these main topics, but we will also give a COVID slant. So let's get started with time management. That's always an issue that is addressed by entrepreneurs. And I think especially during this time of the pandemic, we know that there is an increased amount of time spent on Zoom meetings like this one, and also phone calls, etc. So why don't we hear from some of our panelists, some of their best advice for time management under normal circumstances, and then also during the pandemic.
Okay, hi, I'll go first if we're not going in any order. I think that time blocking your day is most important, with reminders, follow-ups, and appointments, of course. And I normally set, ironically enough, my family's like, "What's wrong with you? Your phone's always going off." I set alarms throughout the day to remind me, you have to motivate me to get things done, because it's so hard coming from the bedroom to the living room and then logging in. So to self-motivate and to keep disciplined, I try to just set alarms and reminders and keep up with what I promised myself I'd accomplish for the day.
Thank you, Ingrid.
Do you want, I can jump in.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jody.
Sure. What I used before COVID-19, and I still use, although I think I have to be a little more disciplined with it, is a point system, okay? A daily point system, because one of the things about going from your 9-to-5 job to being an entrepreneur, I mean, one of the reasons people do it is, hey, I've got flexibility, right? It's going to give me more flexibility. And so, but one of the dangers is that if you don't know really how to structure your day, you could find yourself, well, I'm an entrepreneur now, so I can work when I want, and I don't, hey, it's a nice day, I'm going to go hit some golf balls or something. And that's fine. That's one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur. But getting back to the point system, how do you know when you're in an office job every day, you put your, I don't want to say you're only putting your time in, but you've got that structure of 9 to 5. I'm at my workspace, right? And I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And when that day is over, unless there's something pressing, you're going to go home. You don't do that, obviously, with an entrepreneur. So how do you know when you've put in a good work day? That's where the point system comes in, okay? And I use something called a 25-point system where, example, signing points to things like number of phone calls I've made, number of face-to-face meetings I've had, number of referrals I've gotten, things like that. And so the goal is, to come to end every day with 25 points. So I know I've put in a really good day at that point, okay? Whether or not, when you're in the world of entrepreneurship, every day, obviously you're not collecting a paycheck. So every day is not going to result in, bringing money into your business necessarily, but every day should result in those 25 points. And if you do that, you're going to build a consistent income. And that's become even more important during COVID, okay? And it's, just like Ingrid said, it's hard to go from the bedroom and change gears and get motivated every day. But I've started also using, and I used this before, but I've really gotten back to this during COVID, and I think I've talked about it with some of these other entrepreneurs, is something called the 12-week year. It's a great book out there that breaks your goals down into 4 12-week years annually. So you're not just, hey, I've got an annual goal that seems so far off that it's very easy to get distracted and off track from, okay? If you've got these shorter, kind of more, it's almost like chewing, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? If more manageable bites makes the plan more easy to follow, very simple to feel like you're on track, and it just takes things that can seem like overwhelming long-term goals into the short term and easier to stay on track. And so I know that was a lot of information, but that's a system that I've been using and finding even more valuable right now when it's so easy to get distracted by everything else going on in our world.
Thank you, Jody.
If I could hop in on that, Lori, because I actually kind of piggyback on what Jody was saying, is that, so for me, I'm more of a creative. So the thought of like a 9 to 5, like my body like physically rejects that idea. And so what works for me is very similar to what Jody said, as like a point system. For me, it's kind of more of like an activity list. And it stems from breaking down your goals. So like Jody said, if you have a yearly goal, how do you break that up into 12 weeks? How do you break that up into monthly? And then how do you break that up into weekly or daily? And so for me, especially in this time when I'm spending more time at home, is I have a calendar of a checklist of different activities that I know move me forward in my business. But for me, it's not just my business, it's also like my health, both mentally and emotionally, and my body. And so for me, it's about having different activities that fulfill like my business goals, that fulfill like my emotional and mental health goals, but also my physical goals, like 30 minutes of working out. Did I read 15 pages of a book this day? Did I listen to an audio or a podcast that fills me up? Did I do my dishes this morning? So it's kind of a little bit of everything, because I firmly believe that if one area of your life is excelling, it'll bleed into other areas of your life in a great way. And so I really think it's important to make sure that you're not fulfilling just your business activities and your business goals, but also looking at other areas in your life that fulfill you and making sure that they're accounted for as well in that activity. And then I love the time blocking as well. If I know that I need to focus on, let's say, sending 3 emails, I'll set up like a 15-minute window in my day, and I'll put distractions like my phone in the other room, because I don't know, I'm sure a lot of the entrepreneurs on this call, like our phones are going off regularly, and that can immediately like break me out of whatever it is I'm working on. So I will eliminate distractions like TV off, phone in the other room, and just get to work, because I know that I'm more fulfilled when I can do more in a shorter window of time so that I have more of my day to enjoy. And so that's some of my tips as far as like creating a calendar for yourself and just checking off those activities that are going to move you forward, not just in your business, but in all areas of your life as well, because they're all important.
All right. Thank you, Maleva. Elise?
Can I chip in? Again, I mentioned about my life is built around systems. I'm not just me. At Interlace Communications, I have 6 of us. So we're a team. And we have been using Google Docs and Sheets to control our system. But what was really, really cool with the coronavirus, it caused me to realize that we had all this so fragmented everywhere. And I spend a lot of time on webinars learning from others. And I'm a follower of Darren Hardy, which I know I've mentioned to you. He did an awesome webinar on working with remote employees. And he uses a system called Asana, A-S-A-N-A. And we have implemented Asana, and it is so cool because what we do in the morning, whether we're remote or whether we're in the office now, we get together for 5 minutes just to look at the list that's on Asana, answer any questions, and then everybody goes to work. And then we meet at the end of the day to see what we achieved. So that system not only takes care of the scheduling for the 6 of us, but it also allows us to time track and everything. So it is, I figured if a multimillionaire could use it, I can use it too. So that's what we use. And T-Sheets has become our new time card system that we use, and that's available through QuickBooks.
Thank you, Elise.
Sure.
Anne or Sherry, do you have any comments about time management?
Yeah, just kind of piggybacking on some of what the other ladies said. It's kind of almost implied, but I have to write things down. I'm a list person, and I will write things down on a list that I've already done just to cross it off. But that helps me stay focused, because so many, like we all have so many things coming and hitting us, those distractions, and they're all things that need to be addressed. But at the beginning of the day, if I have these things that I need to accomplish, even if my day goes to pot, I will automatic, like by the end of the day, I will have more of those things done on the list than on days that I don't make a plan, I don't have those goals. I'll work just as hard, I just won't have anything tangible to show for that.
And I'm just like Anne. I make a to-do list every day, all the tasks that I want to accomplish that day, even paying bills, like personal and business bills, it goes on the list, and I stay focused on that list, and that's how I do mine, is just a day-to-day, check it off kind of list.
All right. Well, I think we've heard some great strategies and ideas that can be followed up on. At the end of this meeting, we'll make available the contact information for our panelists if you need to get more information from them. All right, let's move on to another topic related to tracking and analyzing your business. So whether it's metrics or some kind of specific analysis, we know that in hearing the introductions from our ladies today, that each one of them is in a different phase of the life cycle of the business. We have some anniversaries that were shouted out. So we know that some people are more established in their business and some people are in an early phase of business. So it'd be interesting to hear from both in terms of how you track and stay on track. And that's probably tied to business continuity, especially during the pandemic. So who would like to talk about how you keep your business on track? It might have to do with goal setting, as well as how to analyze financially where you stand with your business.
I can start with that. I'm the newest business here with K-Town Hall, but from the get-go, we've been following the principles from the Traction book with Gino Wickman. It's sounds like similar to the 12-week a year, but he walks you through how to set core values for your business, your vision. Yeah, I see there's other adherents on the call to this. You start with a big 10-year picture of what in 10 years, dream big, what you want your business to look like. You have to write down a 3-year snapshot of what your business has to look like in order to get to that 10-year goal, and then have a 1-year plan divided up into 4 quarters with, they call them rocks or goals, but specific things that are going to advance you to that end goal. So when we bought this building at auction in March, we had very clear 30 or 90-day windows that we had to get things done. Like after we bought the building, we sold our house, we moved in with friends, and then we found out we were expecting a baby. So like we needed this building habitable, we needed the building off the ground. So those deadlines were very were inflexible. So it was easy for us in the sense to meet those goals because there were pretty dire consequences of not having a house to move into in a newborn. But I'm realizing again that those goals are just as solid for getting the business up and running, because you still need to make progress every day, every quarter, or else your business, isn't going to make that growth that you want. It just may not be as obvious as having a leaking roof or something like that. So we break everything into 90 days. We have goals for that. We sit down. Sometimes it's just me sitting down talking to myself, which if you're a one-man show, sometimes that has to be done, or with mentors. But setting those goals and then filtering even daily tasks through that goals. So that's the system we operate with Attraction. We are getting to the point where we'll need to figure out like profit per customer, or things like that. Some of those more metrics that I think some of these more experienced ladies can address. But just even from the get-go, having a goal, knowing where you're going to get to even 10 years down the road, and then those incremental steps to achieving those goals.
Thank you, Anne. I think we're being introduced to some valuable books today that several of us will be reading. Who else would like to address this topic?
I guess I can go next. I like to keep a spreadsheet and also set reminders that go out years in advance, that go on for years. And the way I track is every client, every person is a prospect, and you have to try to build a relationship and get to know them. My process might take a lot longer than a lot of other people because it has to be a fit. Personalities have to fit. sometimes core values have to go together. So in order for me to make sure that I touch a prospect, I have to set a reminder to follow up with them either once a month and keep a tally of, you know, when their birthday is, keep notes on what new information I received from them, what they were going through at the time, you know, and just follow up with them every month, every quarter. And that's just how, and even with existing clients, there's anniversaries, quarterly check-ins, you know, monthly hellos. So it's a day to day for me because I try to touch everyone I know every single day. So just to piggyback on the time management of what Jody mentioned, you know, it's a matter of, you know, making sure that you're putting in a good day's work by making those connections on a daily basis and tracking them. And lists too. I do the to-do list and everything. So that's how I would track and analyze and see when they need money or when, you know, their anniversary is to send a card out, or even when they're like, well, I'd like to start an income a year or two from now, or I'm considering retiring 5 years from now. I have to go in and set that reminder so that I'm keeping abreast of my clients' life and their choices and what their aspirations are. So pretty much Excel is my friend.
Should I go ahead?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so 25 years. Of the 25 years that we've been in business, 20 of those, the first 20, it was a work from home, family run, home-based business with all women. So I called it a ticking time bomb. But the success of it was because I would, at the beginning of the year, every year, I would have a strategic plan with whoever was my employee at that time and set goals as far as what did last year look like and where do I want to be in this year. What I do the very same thing with all my employees now. And we do that at the beginning of the year. We also visit those goals on a monthly basis, and we put down each of the categories, regardless of whether an employee is involved with whatever that task is, they're part of the decision making of that. And also what we do is when we have somebody, a new client that comes to us with a website, we give them a deadline of, you know, your website is going to be done at this time. And that goal is actually in place because we also reward our employees if we achieve that goal. It could be monetary, it could be, what we try to do is provide our employees with gifts and rewards, in a sense, from our client base so that we're giving back all the way through. So for us, it's achieving those goals. And then at our Christmas party, I do all kinds of really cool things at the end of the year, sharing with them where we started, where we are, and I have goals as far as what I want that to look like financially. And if we reach that as well, kudos. So, and it hasn't all been good. You know, there was 2009 was a year when my business went and tanked. I had to lay off my daughter. I had to fire my mother. You know, so I've had all the experiences that a normal corporate business has. So.
You know, I was just reminded of something, Elise, because you're doing using all of those strategies to strengthen those relationships with your clients. Mm-hmm. And it's an excellent retention strategy. And as some of the other ladies here contribute to this conversation, you think about your goal setting in terms of the pandemic and any special offers or extensions that you are
Yes.
giving to clients in order to retain them, but not only to retain them, but also to ease their
Mhm.
financial situation, you know, in terms of COVID-19.
Right.
So-
We've done that with our clients in a sense of spreading out the expenses. This is a time when they're at home, but they're not sick, and they might be wanting to make an improvement on their online presence. And to us, if we can extend that expense and have it be into the future, because we know there's going to be a normal, you know, so we're there to help. That's for sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Elise.
You bet.
Who else would like to talk about tracking and analyzing the business?
I would jump in if that's okay.
Sure.
So I think in terms of tracking, and you really have to get comfortable with your numbers, you know, and you have to, and it's really hard when you're starting because, you know, acquiring clients, no matter what business you're in, is, you know, you have to do it to stay afloat, and you're kind of it's kind of like you're in acquisition mode and you're just trying to build up your client list. Okay. So it's hard until you do that to really have the data to go back and mine through. But once you get to, you know, maybe even just 1 year in business, you can go back and say, okay, you know, what was my revenue each quarter? What was it each month? How many clients did it take for me to get to that number? Okay. And what's the average, you know, sale, for, you know, lack of a better term, per client? So how much per client am I averaging? And you've got to really understand that, because we're here to make a living. And so you've got to kind of say, well, what do I need to live comfortably? You know, what does my income need to be? And then you've got to kind of backtrack to, what does that look like in terms of revenue coming into your business? You know, and you've got to understand, does it take 2 touches with a client to acquire them? Is my average 7 touches? You know, and then all of that can really feed into a point system if you're using something like that, you know, to drill down to daily goals. But I think sometimes as women entrepreneurs, at least I know, you know, you kind of shy away from saying, you know, I'm driven by money. You know, it's kind of like, I think that men are more comfortable saying, you know, yes, money is my driver. This is why I'm doing this. But the reality is, this is why we're all doing this. We're here to make a living. We're passionate about what we do, but we have to understand the numbers and be comfortable with it and go after, you know, business.
Thank you, Jody.
Jody, get out of my head. I was
Sorry.
That was exactly what I was going to say. Is it's so important to know your numbers, and that piggybacks right on there's like a through line of everybody talking about knowing your goals. And so if you haven't heard, there's a system called SMART goals, and that's ensuring that your goals are specific, they're measurable, they're attainable. I have it on here so I remember what they all mean. They're relevant, and they're time-based, because we might have all heard, listen, like a goal without a deadline is just a dream. And so you have to know what you want, be specific, the date you want it by, and then, like Jody said, know your numbers. How many calls does it take to ensure that you get a sale or book that appointment, or, you know, move forward in your business? And then track that. For me, it's on a weekly basis. So I have a specific sheet that's based on the activities that I know that I have to do on a daily and weekly basis that will get me to my goal. Some of them are daily and some of them are weekly. And I write anything and everything down that goes along with those activities, because for me, I can get lost in the sauce. So if I don't know exactly what I need to do to move me forward, I could spend an hour and a half scrolling social media and think I've like been busy, and busy isn't always productive. And so when you have those activities and you're tracking them in that way, then if you have a down quarter, or if you didn't hit that goal for the quarter, I save every physical sheet. For me, like, I'm a little old school for a millennial, so I need to have like it written down in front of me, whether that's an online system, like a calendar, whatever that is for you. I keep them in a binder so that if I don't hit that goal, I can go back to every single week and say, okay, what did I do? What did I not do? What was serving my business? What wasn't? So that I can tweak and adjust that. But like Jody said, you have to know exactly like what your numbers are. And sometimes that takes time. But in the meantime, know exactly what your goals are and write them down and put them everywhere where you can see them and remind yourself daily what you're working for. Because, you know, if money isn't a driver for you, understand that we all have to make it to survive. So what does that money afford you to do? Like, is that putting food on the table for your kids? Is that funding their college in the future? Is that the next vacation that your goal is looking to take? Like, think about what the money's going to do for you. And sometimes as women, that might make us feel more comfortable, like going after those goals, because it's not just about the money, it's what the money can give us, which is our livelihood, whatever that is for you. And so that's a couple things that help me as far as knowing exactly my numbers, knowing the goal, making it specific, and then tracking it on a weekly basis to ensure that I'm either hitting and on track for the goals, or if I didn't hit, what can I do to tweak that?
Thank you, Maleva. Sherry?
So I am like all the others. I look at my numbers. Every year at Christmas time, I have a little dinner too. I don't have a lot of employees. I have, you know, my daughter helps me part-time. I have a niece now that helps me. And then I have one lady that works for me as well. And we get to a little Christmas dinner. And that's where I share like the year goals that we met, and then the next year's goals that we want to achieve. And I'm constantly looking at where I am even month to month, just to make sure like we're on track and the goals that I set are reasonable and we're going to hit those goals. And just like Elise, I do things for my clients too, gifts throughout the year. Handwritten notes are huge. And then as far as with this whole COVID-19, I'm just working with my clients. A lot of them are struggling right now. They're either in the restaurant industry or they're in other industries where they're just on total shutdown. So I'm just trying to do the best that I can for them during the time. And I always, you know, they don't have to, when they get a bill, it's not like they pay, you know, they don't have to pay. I'm not like that tyrant person that I need the money. You know, I work with everybody and I want to fit into everybody's budget, whether it's COVID-19 season or regular everyday life. That was always my thing from the start of the business, was I just want to help people and I want to fit into everybody's budget. So
Thank you, Sherry. Our last topic for today is connecting with yourself and others. So I'll throw out two questions and then the ladies on the panel can choose to address one or both of those questions. So connecting with yourself, we know that during the pandemic, some people are feeling very stressed. They've had to, many people are working remotely or they're working in situations that are stressful in hospitals and medical facilities. What are some of the ways that you've been able to alleviate your stress during the day-to-day working in this environment? And then in terms of connecting with others, as I mentioned earlier, we see an increase in these Zoom or Google Meetups, or, you know, the virtual sessions and the phone calls. How have you changed? In what way have you changed how you operate in terms of those sorts of virtual connections? So how you're helping yourself become less stressed, or people or ways that you found to manage stress, or also how are you managing in the virtual world dealing with your clients and other business associates? Okay, two people have raised their hands. Sherry, I can't tell who's raising their hand. I'm sorry. Who would like to?
Jody.
Oh, I do. It's Jody. I'm sorry. I see it now.
Or unless that was from last time, but
I don't know.
I don't know.
but I mean, if you're not ready, I can certainly go, Jody.
Go ahead.
Well, connecting with myself, there has to come a time when you shut it down and you just find peace within yourself and your surroundings, right? Because there are times where I'm working till 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I'm an early bird. So I'm up by 5, and by 6:30, shower, coffee, I'm at my computer. And so if I allow myself, I'm overworking myself. It's so much easier to be working from home all the time versus, going to the office, going to your networking events, and then coming home and unwinding. So there's a time where you need to find time for yourself and be like, okay, turn off the work phone, set aside the social media, and just try to find a mental and emotional balance where you're at peace with yourself. And for the friends and family and the people that I connect with, I would say that I love the virtual happy hour with my friends and my coworkers and associates. I love getting everybody on the screen, just like the chamber chat, Northeast Berks chamber chat on Fridays. That's fun for me. Having that interaction, because I'm somewhat of a closet introvert, but I love the get-togethers and the talking and all the rambling that goes on with the virtual chat. So that's how I'm pretty much coping in this type of environment.
Thank you, Ingrid. Jody?
Sure. Yeah. So I running my own financial services practice, is having your own business, but I'm fortunate in that I have, a Fortune 100 company behind me, New York Life. And so, a lot of the technology that we've needed to transition to this COVID-19, I can't say enough about how New York Life has literally changed how they're doing business overnight, on a dime, really set us up for success with this. And so giving us, making available Zoom accounts for all of us, and going virtual with so many things that were kind of in the works, but we weren't really ready to do, making a lot of things, deliveries, electronic, et cetera, that we weren't doing before. What that means, though, is I found that in this, I'm actually busier than I was before, because I'm able to meet with more people now in a day. I'm not typically in a day I was on the road, going to this meeting or that meeting, and now I can, in my office, sit here and have 5 client meetings in a day. And of course, people are now more than likely than not at home, and they're ready to meet, and they're also they're anxious about what's going on because of the financial environment, and because I see a question popping up here, and I'm thinking that's for me. So I'm kind of, describe how you work with clients who share anxieties about the current business shutdown. So, I have, again, working in financial services and life insurance, this is on people's minds. And so, people who kind of were putting off meetings before are all of a sudden, they're ready to meet, because people are being confronted with uncomfortable things like mortality, and also what's going to happen to my finances, what's happening to my nest egg. And so how I'm dealing with it is, to get specific to Bob's question, is I'm literally calling every client I have and just saying, how are you? How are you? I want you to know that we're here. We've been here for 175 years. We're not going anywhere. So, your finances with us are stable, et cetera. Of course, if they have stuff in the market, that is something different, but we're able to help them address those concerns too. We can put some guarantees and things in place if that's a problem. So, just reaching out to people, and then all of a sudden they're having conversations. They're telling you what's on their mind, and there are new opportunities coming up, business wise. And, and why I'm in this business is to help people. And so this is really a great time of opportunity, not to be, like taking advantage of people's fear, but you want to be addressing it and asking them what you can do, and it's a really good opportunity. I've seen a big increase in business because of that, but we also have clients who their finances are hurting. Okay. And so we've had to take some hits there. In my business, on some things that we do, we get reversals, we get commission reversals if people stop paying, monthly premiums, et cetera. But we are working with clients on that. New York Life has made a 90-day grace period for people if they can't pay premiums, and they're trying really hard to not have people lose things like life insurance coverage because of what is going on. So that's another good reason to call people too, is to let them know what the company is doing for them too.
Thank you, Jody. Maleva?
So to handle both topics quickly, one, as far as what do you do for yourself to help manage the stress, that kind of goes back to like, I'm a podcast and audio junkie. And so I firmly believe like how you start your day within those first 20 minutes are going to dictate like how the rest of your day goes. So whether that's like a 15-minute workout, whether it's a sermon, a podcast you enjoy, like something to get your mindset right. And I'm also reading this book right now about how to like incorporate mindful meditation throughout the day, even if that's just like the 2 minutes that you hold your cup of coffee, like take a deep breath, smell the coffee. How does the coffee feel going down your throat? Like just taking those moments to take like mindful breaks throughout the day to make sure we're breathing deeply, even if that's like going outside and just taking like 5 minutes of fresh air throughout your day, because like keeping yourself whole is first and foremost like important for you to have a healthy business and the longevity of your business. So those are some things that I'm doing for myself. I love the social happy hours, doing that with friends, doing that with family. And what's neat is like I have friends that, you know, now have kids, and so we don't get together as often as we used to, but we like hop on Zoom and do a video chat with a glass of wine, and we're like, this is like rewarding. Why don't we do this more often? So, I mean, there are blessings in every situation. And I think one of them is maybe we find other ways to be a little more connected with some family or friends than we used to, you know, because everybody has lives and businesses and such. So that's what I'm doing for myself, and what's kind of like bringing me joy in this time. But also as far as business, I don't think we're going to see virtual consulting going anywhere but up. I've actually been doing like virtual skincare consulting, virtual makeup consulting. And at first it was a little strange because I'm very much like a belly person. I have an in-home studio. I want to see you. I want to touch you. I want to like, you know, make sure that you can feel everything and that we're, you know, having that experience. But virtually people's like skincare and wellness needs don't like disappear now that we can't meet. And so like Jody was saying, calling others, just saying, hey, how are you? What can I do for you? The virtual consulting has been wonderful because now I can consult women in Pittsburgh or Virginia or out in California. And through Zoom, when you can see each other and your audio's on, at least it still feels like we're connecting because you can see me, we can look each other in the eye, and we can figure out solutions to what your needs are until the point where, hey, you know, when we're all allowed to meet again, then maybe I've had some customers say, hey, let's go forward with this right now. And then I would love to get together with you, you know, when we can. The other thing is like learning to pivot in your business. As a broker, for me, I have access now to like hand sanitizers and disinfectants. And so I've been calling people, even though, you know, I'm the makeup and skincare girl, letting them know, listen, like, what do you need? Let me see if I have access to it and I can get it for you. And so I've been learning to like pivot my services to things that I wouldn't necessarily think about getting my hands on before or offering to clients and customers. But, you know, we're all about serving our clients and providing a need and fulfilling a solution. So even if that means it's like outside of our wheelhouse, if it's something we have the ability to do, then, you know, that's a blessing. And so that's something else I've been using to kind of pivot my services to help based on what our needs are now.
You're right, Maleva, because finding these new niches is now a way in the future to further expand your business services. So,
and it's doubled now, which is incredible.
Yeah, that's great. Sherry?
So my family knows that I'm a workaholic. So for me to slow down is nearly impossible. If I slow down, I fall asleep. Like I just have to be doing something all the time. So I am in an accountability group. It's a small group of ladies, and I'll tell you, they have been such a blessing in my life. They made me realize that I need to stop working all the time and take time for myself and do some self-care. So I love to read, and in years I haven't read much of anything. So I started reading a book called All In by Stephanie Breedlove, which was recommended by one of the ladies in that group. And I'm not that far into it, but I'm getting there. So I'm reading, I'm trying to exercise more and start taking care of myself mentally and physically. So that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Great. Elise?
For me, I'm like Sherry, workaholic. what has been my saving grace is my employees. It used to be that on the weekends, I would be available to answer questions for our clients 24/7. Whenever you wanted to call me, I was available. And because of some situations with clients, they said to me, stop, give yourself the weekend. What I do is I do certain projects that make sense over the weekend with one client or two clients, and that's it. One of the things that during the coronavirus, I have diabetes, and my daily numbers were going up, and I didn't like that. And I did research about keto diets, and my doctor gave me permission to go ahead and do that. Well, what I've been doing is doing a lot of testing of recipes of my mother's to make them keto friendly. So I'm doing some different types of things during this period of time with Carl and I are just having some fun over the weekends, and in the evening, I can't turn off, By 10 o'clock, stop, and then, first thing in the morning, have a routine. It's important to have a morning routine and do same thing, getting yourself structured, because that I think for the coronavirus was the most difficult thing for people who aren't used to working from home, is they never had an end to day and night. So having that morning routine is very, very important. And that's me.
Thank you, Elise.
Sure.
Yeah. Anne, would you like to weigh in on this topic?
Sure. Yeah, so K-Town Hall is closed. We're not allowed to be open and allowed to be operating. So that kind of works on two different levels for me. So, and people can't, I've lost my childcare as well. So I have a 3-year-old and I have a 5-month-old that is not currently sleeping through the night. So the first thing that I've been doing to connect with myself and kind of preserve some sanity is just setting really reasonable expectations for what I can expect to get done. So if you are home with children, or you're now homeschooling, or you can't work on your business in the same way, I've had to not lose sight of my goals, not keep working hard, but just kind of reassess what reasonably can I expect to get done, because if I'm expecting something unreasonable, then it's just not healthy anyway around. So kind of setting those expectations. But it's also been, because I am shut down, it's been stressful not knowing when can I open, how is this going to impact me? I've lost a quarter now, is it going to be another quarter in the fall? So I've been trying to focus on the things that I can do. So that's been meant pulling out my 1-year plan and kind of changing around a lot of our priorities. So obviously growing a customer base is going to look a little bit different now, and I can't bring customers in. So we're looking forward to some renovations and some upgrades that we had planned for the future, trying to figure out how to make that work now, and kind of, even if we can't execute the work itself, laying the groundwork for that. So just kind of keeping track of that goal for the business and shuffling things to make sure that I'm still making forward progress without putting myself in a position of failure.
Okay, we're going to begin concluding our session today. If you had one piece of advice to share as an entrepreneur, what would that be? We'll start with you, Sherry.
I would say surround yourself with people that you can share your idea with. When I started my business, I told a couple family members and I bounced ideas off. I drove them crazy trying to figure out the name of the company and everything. And I just had a good, solid foundation of people that believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. My husband being the first one. When I lost my job, and my dad that year, he said, start your own business. I said, what if I fail? He goes, what if you succeed? So you need somebody there to be that strong person to make you realize you are good and you know what you're doing and that you can do it, and just go out and kill it.
Thanks, Sherry. Anne?
Yeah, I agree. Find someone that can be a mentor, a group around you, and read everything.
Thank you. Maleva?
Daily self-development. If you want more, you have to become more. And I feel like if we all become more, the world around us becomes better.
Thank you. Jody?
I agree with that. I think not only do you need to surround yourself with people who are going to pull you up, but you have to be ready to pull yourself up, because not every day is a win. You're a business owner now, you're going to face roadblocks, you're going to face rejection, and you're going to face, some setbacks, and your attitude overall is going to determine whether you succeed. I mean, I've had, I used to tell my partner often when I started this, I'm quitting today, I'm quitting. You're going to have those days, but you've got to really understand at your core why you're in this, what your passion is about it, and be able to, take a day to be disappointed if, you lost a big customer or account, but then you cannot let that start a downward spiral and just because it could easily derail your business. You've got to pull yourself back up, dust off, move forward. Okay, that one person didn't want to do business with me, move on, their loss.
Thanks, Jody. Elise?
Let go. What I mean by that is if you want to grow your business, you need to let go of what you can't do and give it to somebody who's better than you. Because that's why my business went from a solopreneur for many, 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 many years, because I couldn't let go. I thought I could do everything. And when I started hiring people, that made the change in not only me, but my business growth. So let go.
Thank you, Elise. And last but not least, Ingrid. Did we lose Ingrid?
I'm not sure.
We may have. I don't know.
Hello, Ingrid.
All right. Well, I'm not sure where she went. I want to thank all of our panelists today. It's clear that we have a group of very savvy business women. If you would like to get in touch with any of these ladies, many of you know them, or you can email me at ldg@northeastberkschamber.com and I'll share their information, or you can find them in our digital business directory at northeastberkschamber.com. Also, I'd like to thank again Dr. Paige Brookins from the Entrepreneurial Leadership Center at the College of Business. You can reach Paige at brookins@kutztown.edu. And I appreciate all of you attending today. And I'm so happy we were able to, again, convert this into a virtual session. And this has been recorded, so we'll be able to share it on our Northeast Berks Chamber platforms for additional viewing by others, or maybe some of our attendees would like to watch it again. Thank you and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.